Today we are joined by Robbie Lyle, the founder and owner of Arsenal Fan TV, which has over 1.7 million subscribers and has encompassed 1.6 billion views, revolutionising the sports journalism industry. It is an absolute honour to welcome Robbie Lyle, AFTV Robbie, and / Don Robbie. Welcome to the Cambridge Studio.
Thank you.
So I'll start off with about half an hour of my questions, and then we'll open up to the floor. I'd like to start with, where did Robbie Lyle's love story with football and Arsenal begin?
Well, love story began in my teens. My cousins were the first people to take me along to an Arsenal game, and literally the first game I went to, it's just like love, isn't it? You're just bitten. And once I got into Highbury, saw the crowd, the atmosphere, the players, that was it. That was my team for life. So that's where it started, and that's where it continues.
Nice, nice. So also, how does a land surveyor become the owner of the most popular fan channel in the country?
Well, just what it is, I was obviously a lifelong Arsenal fan, and I just had an idea as I was working as a surveyor that, because even though I was in this job and I liked the job, it was all right, but I always had sort of that entrepreneurial spirit in me. I always, you know, it's always been within me, and I was like, I want to do something else. And a friend of mine had a boxing channel called AFTV, which is a very popular boxing channel at the time, and he was a big Arsenal fan. Me and him used to go to games together, to Highbury, with the Emirates together, and I approached him and I said, why don't we do something for football? You know, because I said, well, I've got this idea where we could speak to fans and interview fans after the game, because I don't think that, you know, we hear anything from fans. We never hear from them. Now and again on platforms like TalkSport, but we never ever see them in video. So I approached him with that idea, and he was too busy to do it. And then after that, I was just like, you know what? I was going to execute this idea, even though I didn't know anything about filming, didn't know anything about editing. I was just like, I want to do this. And yeah, I just started it from there. Just literally just one day, pitched up at the Emirates with a microphone, with my my camera guy, who's a friend of mine, who just came to help me out, and just started interviewing fans, and it just started from there.
In terms of what has made you more successful than other fan channels, would you point that down to like one particular thing, or do you think it's just a consistent high quality content through the 12 years of operating?
Yeah, I think it's down to consistency, you know, because from the very first, my first plan was to just do home games, because I didn't have money to do, you know, home and away. So I'm like, I was going to do home games. And after doing the first home game and how well that went, I was like, let me go next week and do an away game. So the next week we went to Aston Villa away, did that game, and the feedback that we got was so amazing from that, where people were saying, oh, I didn't know it was like that on an away game, didn't know people travelled, and I just said after that, we've got to do every single game. I didn't know how I was going to do it, because I didn't really have the money to do it, because remember, it's just being all funded out of my pocket. But from a very, very early stage, I was just like, it's all about covering every single game. It's all about covering Arsenal as much as possible and being consistent on it. So it wasn't always easy, because, you know, for about the first three odd years, I was working at the same time. So, you know, during the week you could have a game like this week where we had Sheffield United away, you know, not bad this week, you know, I mean, I got home at about 3 in the morning, able to go to sleep and wake up the next morning to go into, but in those days, it'd be like get home 3 in the morning, then have to wake up at 7 to go to work. And the surveying job I was doing as well, I'd sort of got a little promotion, so I was working as what they call on planning. Planning was good, but there was lots of meetings, and I can tell you now, I fall asleep in a lot of them, you know. So, but yeah, consistency, I feel, is the absolute key when you're making content to do with football, because you can't, do content and then just disappear for a week. You know, people are talking about football every single day, so you have to be consistent with it.
From these origins of trying to give Arsenal fans a voice after games compared to like your usual pundits, there's like a few who've accused you of like this being like disillusion with like regular contributors. How would you respond to that criticism?
How do you mean by that? Sorry.
So like there's regular, people have said about how there's like regular characters.
Oh, okay.
So like maybe like Ty, who's on it every week, is like that's kind of taken away from like the regular fans' voice.
Well, you'll see guys like Ty, you'll see guys like, many guys who've become very popular over the years, lead judges, these sort of guys. But the thing is, we interview way more fans. So I was at the game yesterday, and we probably interviewed after the game, probably about 25 to 30 fans. Now, obviously, the guys that get watched the most are the guys that are the most popular. But for anybody who accuses us of that, I can show them the evidence to say, no, we interview loads of fans. And not only do we interview loads of fans outside grounds now, we also have got a new service on our platform where fans can call in from all over England, all over the UK, and all over the world. So I feel like we interview more fans than any platform out there. When it comes to football. So yes, you have your standout guys that are really, really popular, their videos will get watched the most, but if somebody accuses me of that, I can answer it quite easily and say, just go and have a look at our platform right now. Evidence is there. We interview loads and loads of fans, and we'll continue to do so always.
From what I remember about AFTV, when I first found out about you guys, it came from 2017, following an Arsenal loss. Gary Neville described you guys as embarrassing.
Yeah.
From 2017 to 2024, where we are today, do you think the image around AFTV has changed? Do you think it's less polarised? Or do you think there's still people who will always be against you guys?
Well, Gary Neville accused us of being embarrassing that day, which I then responded to him. And we ended up having that big debate on Sky and stuff like that, which was really good. And I've just seen a turnaround in like the stuff that we used to do with fans. I see Gary Neville doing like the overlap with fans that they even invite me onto a lot of times. So that straight away has showed me the turnaround. This week, I was invited along to a BBC away day for all of their football team, like everybody on 5 Live Football, everybody who does Match of the Day, the producers, some of the presenters, to talk about how we engage with fans. So I think at that time, because Arsenal were going for a really, really tough time at that time, and there were some fans coming on and they were having a go at the manager, they were having a go at players, they were angry, they were upset. And that's where that sort of narrative came. But we were just reflecting the mood of the fans at that time. And, if you can't pretend, you can't try and turn around and the thing I always say is not North Korea fan TV. You can't, try and like say to people, you can't say that. You've got to say this, and So we were just reflecting. What was happening at the time, and so it wasn't embarrassing. It was just a reflection of the mood at the time. And a lot of people who say things like, oh, embarrassing, or, oh, you just want fans to come on who rant, where are they now? The last season, Arsenal challenging to win the league, didn't hear nothing from none of those people. This season, we're top of the league after today, great result. Man City drawing with Liverpool, right? We're top of the league, don't hear nobody saying it then. So, you know, I don't focus on those things. I focus on trying to build a good platform. I focus on trying to make good content. I focus on being consistent. We're there in the bad times. We're there in the good times. That's what football fans do.
As one of the presidents of the Sports Journalism Society here in Cambridge, we've heard from speakers about the change in face of sports journalism, like the need to be able to create content more than just writing a newspaper. Do you think you've created a framework for industries, well, not industries, for companies to use, like the overlap in the future? And do you see that continue in the next 10 years?
Yeah, no, definitely. It's a change in industry. And I mean, when I grew up, you know, how we consumed football to how we consume football now is completely different. You know, we were watching a bit of the game upstairs before we came here, and you saw my brothers every minute messaging me, you know, about the game and stuff like that. That's how people consume a game now. Like, you'll be watching the TV and you're on your phone, texting your mates, bantering with your mates, or, you know, talking about things that happen. So you've got to be on the pulse of what is going on. Where are the fans? If they're on social media, you need to be on social media. You need to talk to them. You need to engage with them. So the landscape has completely changed. I think that a lot of the traditional media have looked to platforms like us to see what we're doing. And as I said, you know, I've been invited to give talks at some of these organisations and stuff like that about how to engage with fans. And I always say, if you think football fans are important, it's very easy to engage with them, because you will make time to be where they are to talk to them. If you don't think they're important, then you'll just be doing things like how you always done it, and you'll be missing out on all those fans. And fans, for me, are as important as the players. The two most important things in football, the players and the fans. We all remember COVID, no fans, speakers in the ground with fan noises and stuff like that, and all the players complaining, saying, "Oh, it's not the same. It's not the same. It's this, you know, it don't feel right. You know, I mean, there's no fans in there, no atmosphere." So the fans are important. So if you place that importance on the fans, you will always engage with them.
As one of the most famous and most prominent black presences in sports media, do you feel a responsibility and a duty to inspire future generations of future black media presences?
Yeah, I guess I do. You know, when I first came into this space and started getting invited to a lot of media events, like with some of the traditional, I was very shocked sometimes to go into some of these events and I'll be the only black guy there. And I was like, wow, I was going, look how many black people play football. Look how many black people, Asian people watch football. Where are we? How comes there's not more of us in this room? So, yeah, I want to be able to inspire more people to get into this space. And I'm always encouraging people and saying, you know, start a channel or get into journalism, or and I do see a change. And there's been some, I'm very proud that even there's been a lot of people that have come through our platform that have gone on to do there was a girl who was on our platform called Anita, who now she's on CBS and doing really, really well. She's worked on BBC, So yeah, I do feel a duty to try and inspire more black and Asian people to get into this space, because we watch football just as much as everybody else, and so why not?
You've talked about in the past about discussing racial abuse you've suffered while going to the football, which is what you love. How has this changed? Do you think progress has been made, and what more do you think has to be done in the future?
Yeah, listen, I've suffered racial abuse at games, on social media. It's not as bad as it used to be. Like back in the day when I used to go to football, I did a documentary on it on ITV and spoke about how bad it used to be. It used to be absolutely terrible. As a matter of fact, most black people back in the day were put off going to football because of the racism. So I remember sometimes I used to go to football, and some of my friends would be like, yeah, are you mad? You're going to football? What, you going to Chelsea away? Are you crazy? With all them racists there, I said, listen, I just like watching Arsenal when I'm going, you know? So, but it's changed a lot now. You go to Chelsea now, no problems, you know what I mean? No issues. But there's still big problems online, and there's still big problems, you know, you still have an underlying racism sometimes at grounds. When you go abroad, it's still bad in a lot of places. And I really do feel that, you know, we're in 2024 now, and come on, when's this gonna end? I feel that if and I say this all the time, I feel that if the football authorities really took racism seriously, they could just get rid of it in football easily. Like, literally within a year, done. That's my opinion. Like, if you turn around to a football team that's got loads of fans that are racially abusing a player, and say you're the Premier League, or let's say UEFA, because a lot of it happens abroad. If you say, right, Champions League, if you want to be in it, which is what they say, they have all these banners and everything, and they say, you want to be in the Champions League, you know, it's all about, you know, equal, you know, everyone's got to be equal, your colour, and all they do is things before games. Well, enforce it. If a team comes in and they're not following that, you warn them, maybe you do your behind closed doors thing first. Second time, they're out of the competition, chucked out. Not to return until you've sorted yourself out. You would soon see that racism cut out of these clubs. They would, you know, because number one, the fans who want to see their clubs in the Champions League are going to make sure that other fans don't do it. The owners of the clubs who realise how much money they're going to lose are going to make sure everything's in force so that these things don't happen. So I really want to see the football authorities take racism more serious. I don't think they take it seriously enough. They took the Super League seriously. Remember, it was the threat of the Super League. They were threatening to ban players who had nothing to do with the Super League. They said, if you go into that Super League and you play, you can't play for your country again. And these players are going, hold on a minute, if Super League weren't our idea, we just like professional, and go, if you go into that, that's how serious they took it. And they managed to stop that Super League. Well, you know, obviously with the help of the fans were angry about it, politicians, everybody got involved, and it was a great thing that we stopped it. But I was watching it and I was thinking, how comes when it's racism, we're not like that? Well, it'd be like, oh yeah, you turn around to a big club that gets like 60,000 every week and say, we find you 30 grand. Who cares? You know, or you turn around. I remember there was a team, I think England played. Was it England playing Hungary or somebody like that? And they had all these guys at one end of the ground, all dressed in black, ultras they call themselves, right, as they like to mask behind, and they're all making Nazi salutes and stuff like that. And what did they do to them the next game? They closed that end of the ground. Well, what's that? That doesn't stop it. That makes those guys who do it, they wear that like a badge. They'll be like, yeah, look, we got it closed down. We're back next 2 weeks' time doing the same thing. So if they take it serious, you know, you don't make these teams come into competition. If I always say it, if inside here, if you say we've got a policy of no racism and equal opportunities inside this chamber, and somebody comes through that door and starts racially abusing people inside there, or is being anti-Semitic, or, you know, he'd never ever come back in here again and be banned. You wouldn't say, yeah, you know, we fine you £100, and then he's back next week. You wouldn't do that, would you? You wouldn't say, oh, okay, you know, you're banned for 2 weeks. You're banned and off. Finish. You're not welcome in here, because in this chamber we deal with equality. And you obviously are not a person who deals with equality. So I think it's pretty easy to deal with if they take it serious, which personally I don't think they do. Same with a lot of the social media companies. They don't take racism seriously. All I have to do is go on and say something quite controversial about a team today, I could probably do an experiment if I went and said something quite controversial about a team, and I guarantee you I would get some point of racism off in my social media. Give it a day. When you go back and look, yeah, Robbie, you monkey, what are you talking about? Look, it happens all the time. It's just that it's every now and again I highlight it. I don't like to go on about it too much, but it happens all the time. So when are the social media companies going to take it serious as well? They're not serious.
On social media, like when I've been scrolling through Twitter, I've seen some horrible things said about you.
Me?
Well, and many other content creators.
There's a lot.
How do you deal with that? Do you feel like you're quite good at not letting it get to you compared to other people in the industry?
Yeah, you know what? I have to admit, right, I've got quite a thick skin, yeah, so, I get a lot of things said about me. And I don't know, maybe it's because of how I've grown up. Maybe it's because back in the day I was in the reggae industry, which is a tough industry. So maybe I'm just like, you know what I mean? I'm kind of like that, but that doesn't excuse it. That doesn't, because there's other people who are not like that. And also, that doesn't mean it don't. There has been times it has got to me, like, it's really angered me, some of the things that's been said, and not just by individuals, by newspapers and big media companies, like personal attacks, you know what I mean? And I've had to ignore it. I've had to be like, bite my tongue. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to answer back to this. But I've learned over the years, sometimes, if it ain't worth the paper it's written on, don't even bother to respond. But yeah, I mean, I guess I've just, I've had stick even at games. I've had people print stickers and stick them up about me, saying I'm this and I'm that. I mean, I've had a lot like that. But you know what? I'm so driven by what I do, and there's so many people that like what we do, and I see it every time I go all around the UK and around the world, that I just like, if I start listening to this small section of people, then I'm a bit of an idiot as myself. So that's how I kind of block it out. But it doesn't mean that it's right. But unfortunately, the bigger you start to get, you are going to get that. It's kind of, unfortunately, comes with the territory.
Have you seen others in the industry who haven't been able to block it out as well as yourself?
No. Listen, I've had people call me that are in the industry, close to tears sometimes, saying that, they can't take it no more. And I've had to say to them, listen, just focus on what you're doing. Focus on, you're doing a great job. You're making great content. You're focusing on 3 people who had a go at you when, look at the video you did, you had like 5,000 likes, you know what I mean? And so, but obviously it does get to some people, and, I remember years ago going to this event that YouTube did for some of the biggest influencers, and they were speaking about that subject, about abuse, and there were some women there that they did like health and beauty and fitness, and some of the abuse they got was horrendous, and some of them had stopped doing it and given up because they're just like, I can't take it no more, you know what I mean? I'm trying to do these things to help people, and the abuse I'm getting, so it can get to you, but I've learned to just try to, you've got to try and ignore it sometimes. It's not always easy, because even with me, there are things that get to me that I'm like, if I could get hold of that person, you know what I mean? But you just got to ignore it. It's one of those things.
Just a couple more questions from myself, and then we'll open up to the floor. What do you think of England's chances at the Euros?
Say, what do you think of Tottenham? You know what I mean?
That was the last question.
What do I think of England's chances at Euros?
Yeah.
I think they're really good. I think, we've got one of the best teams. I said, I remember giving a talk, I can't remember where, at the last World Cup, and I said this, right, and we didn't win it. But I said that we had a good, before the last World Cup, I said that as far as I'm concerned, England's team couldn't win the World Cup. And I'm saying it for the Euros as well. I look on it, the only teams that we should really fear are France, because obviously Mbappe, they're stacked with great players. Portugal as well got a very good side. Spain always good. But I think if you look at our team, you look at the players we've got. Saka, Foden, Declan Rice. Harry Kane. Right. Actually, I can say his name now because he don't play for Tottenham no more. But Harry Kane, we've got all these great players. Right? It's about time we won one of these trophies. This generation of players that we've got are good enough to win the Euros. And I'd love to see it. I was at the World Cup and I was bitterly disappointed. I was right behind the goal when Harry Kane hit that penalty that landed back in England, And I was at the Euros as well, and both times I felt this is our time because we've got a good enough team to win it, and we've just fallen short. So I think we can win it, and I'm hoping and praying that we can do it, because I think if we could win it, what it would do for English football, we see the way, I think one of the great things is the way it brings everybody together, which was really disappointing when we lost that final, all the racism that happened towards those players who missed the penalties. But I really do like the way it brings everybody together in this country when those World Cups and Euros are going on, and I just love to win it and just see how the place will be after that, but we can win it.
And just my final question, will Arsenal win the league?
We got a great chance. We've got a great chance of winning the league this year. Obviously, last year we fell short. I felt that it was that inexperience and injuries. We had to key players. I think it depends on key players. We've got to keep some of our key players fit, like Saliba, Gabriel, these guys at the back, Declan Rice. These guys are huge for us. And obviously we're up against two great sides. It's Klopp's last season. Liverpool got a great side. Man City, we all know about them with Pep Guardiola, great side. But what I would say is that I personally feel that at the moment, at this moment in time, I feel that we're a better team than both of them. We haven't lost to either of them yet. We beat Liverpool at the Emirates. They didn't even have a shot on goal. We drew with them at Anfield. We beat Man City this season. We beat them in the Community Shield. We beat them in the Premier League. We're playing them as our next game in the Premier League. We've got a great chance of winning it. We've got a great side this year. We've got a fantastic manager who's really, connected the fans with the team. And, yeah, a bit like what I was saying about England, if we could win that, you see the biggest party. I'm telling you, you're all invited, right? Apart from the Liverpool fan over here. But no, honestly, it's been so long since we've won the title, because, the thing that always sort of takes me aback, right, is that obviously I'm a lot older, so I remember us winning titles. I remember what it was like. I remember the feeling, the open-top bus parades. I remember all that vividly. And then I'll speak to fans sometimes and go, "Hey, Robbie, I've never seen us win a title." I go, "What are you talking about?" I go, "Yeah, I'm 19. Never seen it." I was like, "Oh, yeah." You know what I mean? So, especially for those younger fans, I would just love to see this team win a title. I know it's getting boring. It's City winning it every year, man. Come on, we need someone new.
So is that a yes?
Yeah, man. Yeah. We're doing it, man.
Amazing.
They're going to clip me now, clip me at Cambridge. Imagine getting clipped at Cambridge Union, you know what I mean? Yeah. But I think, listen, we've got a great chance of doing it. And as I said, it'd be amazing. It'd be amazing if we could do it. I know it's Klopp's last season, and it'd also be amazing if Liverpool did it. But I think Arsenal, with Arteta, the new guy on the block, it'd be fantastic.
I think we'll open it up to the floor now, so just put your hands up, just at the front with the green jacket.
How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. I'm a United fan, and I've seen my team in the doldrums for a few years. So what lessons do you think United can learn from Arsenal in terms of escaping the doldrums and sticking with a manager who's struggling at the moment? And do you think United will win a title in the next 5 years?
United.
I know, it's a straight.
I don't want you to win the title in the next 5 years. You know what I mean? No, you know what? It's a lot of similarities with what you see at Arsenal and that. And I think what it is, right, with United, what happened to Arsenal, you're going to have to go through a lot of pain. And it's about, I feel the most important thing with Manchester United is, and what Arsenal had to realise, is where we are. So because we've both been great teams and we've won titles and we've done, especially you guys have done so much in the past, I feel that, you know, like United are still living off of that. They still think that, you know, they still feel that they should be winning titles. Whereas what needs to happen is, and maybe that's happening under the sort of new guys that are coming in, what needs to happen is that they say, right, listen, forget all of that, Alex Ferguson and stuff like that. This is where we are right now, and we're not very good. And we need to get rid of these players, that player, and we need to build a new culture, and we need to, it's not starting again, but we need to, you know, go through a lot of pain and then start emerging back. Because if you really look at Arsenal, right, you know, look how many players like Arteta's had to get rid of. Literally, he's had to change the whole team. Even players like, that I thought it was, you know, at the time, I thought it was very harsh when he got rid of, say, Aubameyang. But he had a reason behind it. And so you're going to have to go through some pain. And you're going to have to just, maybe even as a fan, just say to yourself, all right, I'll accept that we might not win nothing big for 2 seasons, but then after that, we're going to emerge much stronger. And, you know, build it around players like Kobe Mainoo and those sort of guys that are coming through, Garnacho, and start, you know. But I think United, what I've seen in the past, the mistake that they've made is they've just tried to sort of take little bits of what everybody else do and also try to spend their way out of trouble, and it's not worked. So they've got to start again and go for a bit of pain. But obviously, Man United's a huge club, and they'll be back. They'll definitely be back, unfortunately.
Just on the front row with the red jumper.
I'm also a United fan, but I have a separate question to ask. Would you rather see Arsenal get relegated and flounder in the Championship, or watch Tottenham win the treble?
I'd rather flounder in the Championship, man. See, the treble. Nah, I've got to walk the streets of North London, man. You know what I mean? No. I'll take the Championship for a couple of seasons. But Tottenham win the...
Doing it in the Premier League, you're like stuck. Championship, floating up and down.
But they're not winning anything, right?
Maybe not.
That's all right then. No, but it'd be still cool, because I'd rather flounder in the Championship, because then we could, if I see a Spurs fan, I could still tell him how we went invincible. I could still tell him how we've won titles. You lot, you're still in the Premier League and you still can't win nothing, and wait until we come back. So I'll take that. Win the treble. Tottenham. Gosh, they talk enough now, they ain't won nothing. You know what I mean? No.
Just on the second row, the white hoodie.
Thank you. Hi. I'm not going to start by mentioning which team I support.
Tottenham.
No, it's not Tottenham.
Chelsea. Every Chelsea fan's hiding now, you know what I mean? Like, I love it.
I was just going to ask, there's a lot of kind of regeneration going on in football. If you think of kind of badges and branding, particularly in Italy, there's a lot of clubs changing their badges, slightly changing their identity, and there's also kind of the physical regeneration of, I mean, most recently, kind of the news about Old Trafford potentially being knocked down and a whole new stadium being rebuilt. In your opinion, kind of in that light, do you think that football is partly, maybe slowly or gradually losing its soul?
Not necessarily, you know, because I feel that, listen, changes have to happen. We're in 2024 now. You can't have you go to Everton, love their ground, but wooden turnstiles in 2024. You go to sit in your seat, there's no leg room, I mean, it's lovely, nostalgic and stuff like that. But if you want to start bringing people into your stadium, you want to start getting more people in, apart from the traditional people that have always been, you have to improve the stadium. But what needs to happen is when they're doing these things, do it with the fans. Have fans involved in the consultation. Don't just do it without the fans' input. You don't just change a badge, or you don't just do what I remember that owner of Cardiff who changed their kit from blue to red because, I'm from Thailand, or I think he was from Thailand, and it's lucky to wear red or something like that. Consult the fans on the things that you do, because also you have a responsibility to those fans and to the club. There's people who for generations have been following it. But there's nothing wrong, I feel, with improving things. I really do understand it, because, younger fans don't want to go in and see a broken down ground. I might turn around and say to you, no, I remember back in the day I sat right there, and you're not caring about that. You're comparing that ground, or you're comparing your experience in a ground to other things you do, quite rightly so. And it's one of the things I moan about, for instance, in stadiums in this country. You go into a stadium in the UK, the stadium fills up, you can't even use your phone. Internet, I've complained to clubs before, say, well, what is that? Oh no, once everybody comes in, but when I go to a stadium in America, the internet is perfect. You can use it, you know what I mean? You've got to change those things. You know what I mean? Because now, if you guys come into the ground, especially younger people, they want to be able to go on Instagram, they want to be able to snap, they want to be able to go, you want to be able to communicate with your friends and stuff like that. So I fully feel that there should be improvements made, but there just needs to be, when changes are being made, consultation with the fans is really, really important. And as long as that happens, I'm all for change, because it can't stay the same for it. When Arsenal moved from Highbury to the Emirates, I understood why they wanted to move. They needed a bigger stadium. They wanted, but the only thing that was wrong with some of it was there wasn't enough consultation with. There was consultation, but it wasn't complete consultation with the fans. As long as that happens, I see nothing seriously wrong with change, as long as it's done in the right way.
Just at the back with the white shirt.
Hi, proud Chelsea fan over here.
You sure?
I just want to thank you as well.
You sure? You sure?
Of course I'm sure. How many Champions League?
Here he goes.
But anyway, I just want to thank you, because watching your channel over lockdown was what helped me get back into watching football.
Oh, thank you.
So even though different teams, it's great to have you here. I wanted to ask you, because of course now when you go to watch football matches, whether home or away, you're constantly recording, getting all these different fan reactions. Do you think that ever affects you, in that you can't really enjoy the matches as much anymore? You've got to look at it, be analysing it, thinking about things to say, trying to remember all the different sort of things that are going on.
No.
Respond, or...
Yeah, it absolutely doesn't affect me at all. Because when I go in to watch a game, I'm just immersing it as a fan, right? So, and I just have a way that I just remember. I just know what to ask people when I come outside, because I ask people the obvious things like what I'm feeling about the game. You know what I mean? So, like yesterday's game was a very tight game in which we got over the line. Kai Havertz, thank you very much. Good signing, that, right, from Chelsea, right, got us there. So I already know when I'm coming out of that ground, I know that I'm going to ask people about Kai Havertz, is he starting to prove everybody wrong? I know that I'm going to ask people that, we've been smashing teams, Arsenal, 5-0, 6-0. This was a really tight game. Was you nervous that we wouldn't get it over the line? I know that I'm going to ask people, what about tomorrow? Well, it was yesterday, but I'll be asking, what about the Liverpool Man City game? What's the best outcome for you? So To be honest, when I go into a ground, I just watch it as a complete fan. I guess what's changed for me a bit is like before games, like, you know, I could go to the pub or I could go roaming around or whatever. I can't do that as much now because, you know, I'll just be asked to take about 1 billion pictures and get into the game late. So, but inside that stadium watching the games exactly the same as it's always been for me. I just go through the same emotions. I enjoy it just as much. Yeah, it's just a wonderful thing to be able to go and watch the team playing week in, week out. So I just love it as I've always loved it.
Just at the front with the Arsenal shirt.
Hi, Robbie.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm actually an Arsenal fan.
Good, good. Ask that guy next to you. No, not him. Him. Ask him who's top of the league. Oh no, it's only temporarily, but yeah.
Anyway, I was wondering if you thought the FFP should do like stricter crackdowns on especially top 5 clubs, because you could argue the way a lot of these clubs have handled their finances in regards to buying and selling players has really taken away some of the organicism that comes with football. Like, if I was to use like the signing of Mikhailo Mudryk to Chelsea, they've got the poor guy on an 8-year contract for no reason, and I think that's somewhat eroded a lot of the good faith in football.
Yeah, you know what? For a long time, I feel in football. I feel in football like a lot of teams have just ignored the financial fair play. There's been a lot of things that have been going on that's not made it a fair playing field. And now, you know, we saw the points deduction for Everton. Nottingham Forest are in problems, possible points deduction. The Man City one's going to be really interesting for me. What are they going to do with that? Are they going to swerve it, or are they going to really take action? Because everybody needs to be playing on a fair, you know, it needs to be a fair playing field. And it's not fair if a team's owned by a country, for instance, and they're just able to throw money at it until they win, because you can do that. I feel you can. If you look at the most successful football clubs around Europe, let's say, most of them are the clubs who spend the most money. This country, Man City, we've been winning it like year in, year out. They spent the most money by, you know. If you look at France, PSG, spend the most money, win the title nearly every year. If you look at Germany, even though they have a fairer system, but Bayern Munich spend the most money of all the teams, win the league almost every year. If you don't have things in place to make it a fair playing field, then you're just going to end up just having that. The teams that spend the most money just win it, because, you know, in effect, you know, they can come along and say, all right, Saka, come and play for us. We'll treble your wages. And we'll, you know, so I think it's good now that they're clamping down on financial fair play. I wish they would have done it from a while, because I think it's affected Arsenal. I think Arsenal are one of the teams that tried to stick by the rules. We moved into the new stadium. We've had to go through a lot of pain trying to pay that off and stuff like that, while other clubs really just pumped money in that they've got from, you know, third parties or from, you know, country ownerships and stuff like that. So I'm glad now that they are taking action, but I'm going to be very interested to see how that Man City thing turns out. And if they're found guilty, and it's a if, because they may be innocent, but if they're found guilty, what happens to them? How serious are they going to take it? Because, you know, you'd be effectively... I've read some of those charges. If they're guilty of that, it's surely got to be relegation. But would they have it within them to relegate a big team like City to the Championship or beyond? I don't know. So I think that will be a turning point in what happens with that. Although they could be innocent, let's wait and see.
Just at the back over there.
Hi, Robbie.
Hi.
Arsenal fan from Nigeria. So
nice.
I'm gutted that you went to Ghana recently
We went to, no, hold on, we've been to Nigeria as well.
Yeah, but...
We went to Nigeria first. I had to, you know what, I've been getting like a lot of stick off of Nigerians, right? And I had to remind them that we actually went to Nigeria first.
But then you gloated about Ghanaian jollof. and
They're both nice, both jollofs are nice.
But then I was going to ask about, as a young Arsenal fan, one of the things I've struggled with is getting tickets to games. I on the season ticket waiting list, I think I'm number 18,700 or something. Someone, what tips do you have for us young Arsenal fans trying to get tickets?
Pray. It's really hard. It's really. I know they've made like some adjustments to ticketing this year, and it doesn't seem like it's gone down that well. My daughter also is in a similar boat to you, and she's actually has got to go to a few games. That she's not got a season ticket, but she's been able to get to a few games due to the ballot system that they're doing. But I think it's a really hard one. Like for instance, you know, like away games. I'm lucky I get to go to all away games, but I do think sometimes, how do we get younger fans to get those tickets as well? Because like most of the fans who go to the away games are fans that have been going for years and years and years. They've built up loads of credits, and I get it, quite rightly so, their priority. But then how do you get the next generation of fan to be able to get a ticket to those games? And the balance is really hard. I don't know what the answer to it is, because all of those guys want to continue going, but then you've got a whole new generation who want to go to the Emirates or want to go to away games who just can't get a ticket. I saw a guy at the game yesterday. He paid £350 for his ticket. I mean, that's insane, you know. So I honestly don't know what the answer is. You know, Arsenal, Man United, Liverpool, all these teams, they've got waiting lists that like 10 years and beyond. And I do think something needs to be done, because you don't want to lose a generation as well. You don't want to have it so that some of these youngsters can't get a ticket, so after a while they just get used to watching at home on TV, and you know, when fans like me no longer go or have moved on, right, then you'll have a generation who've never been going to games anyway, so they'll be like, well, I don't want a ticket, you know. So a balance has to be struck, but honestly I don't know what the answer is, because I mean, I know I'd be upset if somebody said to me, right, Robbie, you got to give up your ticket to somebody else to go, although maybe something like that might be the answer, that, you know, some of the established fans sometimes have to give up their tickets to let another generation go. I really don't. It's such a tough one. And obviously for the clubs, you know, they're making a lot of money, you know what I mean? They've got all these people who want to go to the games. But it's a really tough one.
Just on that from myself, do you think something needs to be done about ticket prices? Because I support Stockport, who are maybe not as good as Arsenal, and tickets are probably like £25 to go for a game for people's just local team. Which is more than a lot of like big German clubs, for example. Do you think like anything can be done to sort that out? Because it's becoming quite inaccessible for certain people.
No, ticket price. I mean, they did do stuff with I remember away tickets, like, it used to be insane how much they used to charge from. And they brought in that thing where tickets can't be above a certain amount, which I think that's been really good for your away tickets. But home tickets are still very expensive. Tickets are expensive to games. It's funny that you say that. I remember one time I was going to Dortmund. We were playing Dortmund, and I saw this fan, and he's from England. And he said to me, he was a Dortmund fan, and he said to me, he used to support Chelsea, or Chelsea was still like his team, but he supports Dortmund. He said it's cheaper for him to get a Dortmund season ticket and fly and go and watch them every other week. I said, no, it can't be. He said, no. He goes, you get a cheap, like, EasyJet Ryanair flight out to Dortmund. The season ticket was a couple £100, plus you get free travel. when you got a season ticket to Dortmund. So we, in this country, we pay the highest prices by a mile, by a country mile. And I know in some of the lower leagues, like I've seen a lot of people complain about that, you know, they pay ridiculous amounts as well. So something does have to be done about it. But then some of those clubs are struggling, so they need the money. I think the Premier League as well, the amount of money they're making needs to pass down more money to some of these clubs in the lower leagues to help them so that they don't have to charge them expensive prices for tickets.
Just at the front there.
Thank you. I just want to say I think I'm quite happy you brought up the issue of low league football. So I support Lincoln in League One, who you probably remember beating 5-0 in the FA Cup about 7 years ago now. But that FA Cup run was absolutely transformational for my club.
Yeah.
And we were able to build a whole new training ground and really transform the stadium through the money that came from that. I think there's quite a big crisis going on in low league football at the moment. We're seeing historic ex-Football League clubs like Rochdale, Torquay on the brink of going under. We saw what happened to Bury, what very nearly happened to Bolton. What more can be done to make sure money is filtered down into the lower leagues? I think at the moment, EFL clubs are trapped in a pretty terrible agreement with Sky Sports with regard to television. Like, there's a fair few Championship game ons, but only a very small handful of League One, League Two games that ever get televised.
Yeah.
So, I know you're a Premier League fan, but like, what more do you think can be done to make sure it's filtered down?
I think, just as I said there, the Premier League has a responsibility to the lower leagues, right down the pyramid. And some of that money has to come down to help those clubs, because, you know, without those clubs, you know, I don't think the Premier League would be as strong, you know what I mean? And, you know, my son plays football. Funny enough, I remember, like, Lincoln City wanted him, right? It was just too far. I was like, I can't breathe, you know what I mean? But, you know, you see all these clubs, they've got academies to run, they've got so much, you know, the same sort of things to do as the big clubs, but obviously on a slightly smaller scale. But they don't have the TV money. They don't get the TV money that the teams in the Premier League get. So I do think that a lot of that money needs to filter down. I think I'm sure they've got a meeting about it tomorrow, I think, where they're discussing how much money they're going to pay that goes down to the lower leagues. But I really strongly believe that, you know, that has to happen, because we've got to keep these clubs alive. These, you know, I've been to many a stadium, like, I've been to non-league grounds, I've been to teams in the lower leagues, and their fans are as passionate about their club as I am about Arsenal. It's just you're playing in a different league. So, no, I think we have a responsibility to these leagues, 100%.
Just at the front here.
Hi, I'm also a Chelsea fan. I wanted to ask you about the new Champions League format. Was it necessary for, like, the future and engagement of football, or was there a bit of hypocrisy with UEFA and the Super League format?
Yeah, it's all about money, that new format. That new format, the amount of games you have to play, they're already pushing players to the brink as it is. And that new format, with the amount of games in it, is all about money. It's all about, you know, it's to appease the Super League. And appease those clubs that wanted to go in the Super League. Basically what they're saying is, right, with this new system, you'll have a lot more games, you'll get more TV money, and that hopefully will quieten down Real Madrid's and Barcelona's and what have been moaning about, you know, the fact that they want to earn more money because they see what the Premier League is getting, and they've exhausted the amount of money they can get out of their leagues. So I don't like it. I don't like that new format. But it's coming in. It's coming in from next season, and there's not a lot we can do at the moment, you know. But I do think it's only been done to appease the teams that were looking to break away in the Super League and give them an opportunity to make more money. But why do you need a league where you're going to play 8 games now? And I feel it's going to have a real knock-on effect to things like the Carabao Cup and the FA Cup. It's going to have a lot of people have not spoken about it yet, but I feel the League Cup's starting to get numbered now. I think. What sort of teams are any of those Champions League teams going to put out in the Carabao Cup now? You know? Although Liverpool did put out their kids and beat Chelsea, as you knew. But, you know, I don't like it. I don't like this new format, but we're going to have to roll with it, innit? So...
just on the third row with the glasses.
Hi Robbie, hope you're well. I remember being on the channel a few years back actually against Stoke, and we lost 1-0. But and also even in Qatar to Stoke City away at the Bet365, and I think Hesse scored that day. But also in Qatar as well after the US and the draw, I was on the channel as well. But I wanted to ask more about your channel and like Don Robbie, and how do you think like like in the last 6 years since then to now, how has the channel evolved in like persona you've had like Lee Gunner or DT and these sort of people? Like how has the channel and the workload for yourself increased or decreased? Well, obviously increased.
The work's increased. It's been, you know, yeah. Listen. There's been people that were on the channel at those times that are no longer on. It happens, you know what I mean? It's just, you over a period of time, you evolve, you change, you know, you've got to move with the times, you've got to, you know, so the channel's changed a lot over the years, and, you know, we've got the new channel as well, DR Sports, that's really doing brilliantly at the moment. And I love that channel because it's like, it's all football, and there's so many great influences of, you know, different teams, Chelsea, Liverpool, Man United, you know what I mean? And we have them all on the channel. And I love the fact that we have so much banter and back and forth and stuff without spite. It's all done in the right, you know, the banter is unreal, and the cooking is unreal week in, week out, but it's all done without spite. And I think that's how football should be, you know what I mean? I think sometimes, you know, people get too het up about football, and then, you know, we move on to the next game. So, but certainly, yeah, I mean, things are really evolving and changing, and we're doing a lot of cool things. Like some of the things I've enjoyed doing recently, as a gentleman mentioned there, like we was over in Ghana the other day with AFTV, and one of my reasons for doing those sort of trips was I remember speaking to an Arsenal official one time years ago over in America, because they go to America a lot, and I was sort of saying, well, how comes you never go to Africa? Because, you know, obviously you've got huge support in America and brilliant support in America, but you've got huge support in Africa as well, and India and Pakistan, all around the world, but I'd never seen them. So he said to me at the time, he goes, oh, well, they don't really have the money that the Americans pay. So I remember when he said that, I was like, no, I want to start going over to these places and showing them the love that they deserve, because I always see their fans at the game. You always see them, you know, communicating through all the videos and everything. So it's been brilliant to go to. We went to Nigeria. We did a real feature for a whole week on Nigeria, and then ending up with a big watch party that we did, which was fantastic. And then the other day we went to Ghana. We did one, 1,000 people we had, open air, big screen. We watched the West Ham game, which was brilliant. We obviously won 6-0, so it went fantastic. But also we got to go around the country and really highlight, you know, what a beautiful country it was. And, you know, it was really good, right, because on the last day of that trip, the British High Commissioner like invited me over for tea. I was like, what have I done wrong? So, and she was like, you know, I've got to commend you on, you know, the fantastic work you've done in Ghana, coming here, and, you know, she goes, you really had a good effect on the country, because we was doing like all the TV and radio. So I've really enjoyed doing that, and I've got plans to do India. I've got plans to do, well, I think we could be going to South Africa next. That might be before the end of the season. That's almost done. And I want to do that, going around the world, going to countries and highlighting their fans, because the Premier League is huge all over the world, and the fans who follow it are, you know, they're exactly the same fans as I am. The only difference is I get to go to a game because I'm nearer. So it's fantastic that we can go and highlight those things, and I've really enjoyed doing those sort of things abroad and, you know, around the UK.
Just at the front here.
Thank you very much. I wanted to ask, would you rather you have to live in a studio apartment with Ty or Lee judges, so either of them, and then as a little follow-up...
What, either or both?
No, either.
Either.
And then just as a follow-up, what is Ty like behind the camera?
Yeah, Ty's worse behind camera than right. I say this all the time. He's worse. Like, if you're on a long journey and you want to stay awake, bring Ty. He never stops talking. You know what I mean? But he's such a nice person. But just don't say anything bad about Arsenal, man. He'd be on you, right? But and Lee, I've stayed with Lee, like, Lee comes on a lot of the trips we do. So like, when we was in America last year, Lee's a great laugh. You know what I mean? All the trips we do around Europe and that, it's always so. Lee's one of the funniest guys you'll meet, and a really, really nice guy. And, you know, so Ty's all right as well. We went to Nigeria, we was with Ty, and it's, oh gosh, he don't stop, man. He don't stop talking, man, I'll tell you. You know, so they're both great guys, man. Like, if I had to choose one, it would always have to be Lee.
Tarkan on the second row.
Hi there, Robbie.
How you doing?
Thanks for coming. My question is, so obviously AFTV is an unofficial Arsenal fan channel. I just wanted to ask, do you ever collaborate with the official media channels of Arsenal, and do you have regular contact with those working inside the club?
Yeah, we've collaborated with them a few times. Not a lot, if I'm being honest, but we've collaborated with them a few times. I remember, like, I used to go, they used to have a channel back in the day. They used to have a show back in the day, I forgot what it's called now. But I used to go on that. We've collaborated on a few things, but to be honest, we do our thing and they do theirs, you know. So yeah, you know, they do what they do very well. Obviously, they've got access to players and the ground and everything. So I think some of the things that I've seen them doing recently have been good, like the bench cam stuff and the stuff behind the scenes. Obviously, we don't have that, you know. So that stuff's great. But our focus is more on the fans. But I'm always open to collaborating. But I guess we don't do a lot of collaborations. They kind of do more their thing, and we do ours.
Just on the back row.
Hi, Robbie.
Hi.
With the influence and the following that AFTV now has, are you ever conscious that criticism of certain players or the manager in Wenger's case could actually affect their performance in the fact that because AFTV is such a well-known fan channel, all the players are aware of what's being said. So are you ever conscious that over-criticism of certain players could lead to them being disillusioned with the fan channel or disillusioned with the club?
You know, listen, I'm conscious of the things that are said, yes, of course. I'm not sure if it would affect their performance, because I feel if say a player's playing badly and he's heavily criticised, it's not going to be just us. We're probably the biggest, you know, video platform for Arsenal, but then you've got to remember there's still loads and loads of people doing videos. There's still loads of people on Twitter or X, what you call it, Instagram, TikTok, having their say, newspapers. You know what I mean? It's not just us. I'm just like conscious of the things that we say. Yes, I am. I mean, you know, but we have to be real as well. You know, I felt, you know, we had an example of it yesterday in which Aaron Ramsdale made a big mistake in that game. And I felt really sorry for him, because he then played brilliantly in the second half. So I'd say 90% of the fans who came on were sort of like, Ramsdale was, you know, he made that mistake, but brilliant. Brilliant in the second half, so almost like we forgive him for that mistake. But there were a couple that were like, oh yeah, he's not good enough now. You know, we Rayer's the guy. I mean, I have to allow them to have their say because that's their opinion. But what I try to do always is to question people's opinions. I won't just let people just say something without questioning them. And also what I do is now, as I make sure that, you know, we're not, you know, I think there has been times in the past when we've made errors. When it comes to players getting criticised, I accept that. You know, so I am very, to answer your question, I am very conscious of it, but I have to let people have their opinion. It's their opinion, it's not mine, you know.
Just on the second row there.
Hiya,
Hi.
I'm an Arsenal fan, and
Good.
the women's team had quite a lot of injury recently, but it's going from strength to strength. I just wondered what you think of the kind of growing space for sports journalism and fan engagement in the women's game, and the sort of attention that the men's have been getting.
The potential is massive, and you know, I'm really proud of that Arsenal women's team because they're leading the way when it comes to women's football in this country. You know, you've seen the attendances they've been getting in the stadiums. I mean, they've got a better average attendance than half of the Premier League, which is incredible, you know. And I think there are a lot of opportunities in there. The women's football is really like, I remember when I first started doing AFTV, I went to some women's games, and it was even the people who went were, it was quite almost like people who supported Arsenal and then maybe will stroll along to a women's game on the Sunday at Bournemouth because they had nothing to do. That's not the case no more at all. Like, the Arsenal women's team have got their own support. They've got people who go to watch the women's team only. Don't really necessarily follow the men's team. I was chatting to a friend of mine the other day who said that his daughter, I think she supports Chelsea, but she supports the Arsenal women's team, which I found that was like, wow, you know? So they've got their own, you know, I see at the moment the women's game is starting to get its own following. You know, there's a lot of families there. The demographic is definitely a lot different when you go to a men's game, and it's a really good demographic. So I feel that, you know, it's going to be big. It's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. It's not slowing down. It's getting bigger every time. And I think there's going to be a lot of opportunities for women in the women's game and in the men's game. We're starting to see more and more women getting involved in the men's game as well. I know Joey Barton don't like it, right? But who cares? Because, you know, there's some really good women presenters and women influencers in the space. Influencer-wise, there's some great women influencers. Like we have a couple on our channel, on DR Sports, like Abby Summers and that. They're brilliant, absolutely brilliant. So yeah, I see lots of opportunities in the future because the women's game is really taking off in this country, and it's great to see. Really good.
I think we have time for about 2 or 3 more questions. We will go just on the first row, furthest away from me.
About time. Yeah, I'm an Arsenal fan as well.
All right.
Born in Highbury, Islington.
Nice.
I'm one of those kids that never really seen Arsenal win anything major. So
yeah, it's a few, man.
You're saying, yeah, like playground. We used to hold corn on a Monday. But now, as soon as I left school, we started doing good things. But what do you think are like the marginal things we need to do in order to secure that win for the Prem?
The marginal things?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's marginal in my opinion, but then it goes to the deeper question whether it's Arteta in or out. But
no, it's definitely Arteta in. Look what the guy's done, man. He's like, as you just said, you ain't seen us win nothing. Probably in that time as well. How old would you say? How old are you?
Yeah, I'm 18.
You're 18, right? You've probably not even seen Arsenal challenging. And in the last couple of years, last year we challenged for the league. And a lot of people said, oh, if you don't win it, last year, if you don't win it, that's it. You got your best chance ever. If Arsenal don't win the league this season, that's it. It's done. Chelsea are going to be back. This is going to be back. Who's top of the league now? Again, we're challenging again. And I feel if you keep knocking on the door, you're going to get there eventually. And Arteta's got us challenging and knocking on that door. Now, the marginal things I feel this season, I feel that it's all about injuries. That's what done us last season in a big way. I feel that we've got to keep some of these key players fit, you know. We've got to keep players like Saka, Saliba, you know, Declan Rice. These guys, if they can stay fit until the end of the season, we've got a great, great chance. I think if we run into a lot of injuries to key players, I think we'll have problems. I don't know how Liverpool have done it. I have to really commend them, right? They've had injuries to key players and they're still up there. I'm not sure if that happens to us. Even though we've got a much better squad, I'm not sure if we would be able to win it. So if we can keep those, I think for this season, that's the marginal thing. I think if we can keep those key players fit, we've got a great chance of winning the league. We really have, because the way we've been playing, it has been amazing.
Just on the second row there.
Thank you, Robbie. Big Arsenal fan. I wanted to ask a bit about the situation with rebranding Arsenal Fan TV into AFTV and how that came about, and whether that was from the club and what sort of impact that had.
It was from us, really, because what it is, it was a bit of a grey area, because we go to sponsors sometimes and they're like, well, you're Arsenal, innit? And we're like, no, we're Arsenal Fan TV. They're like, yeah, but you're Arsenal, innit? Like, say, no, we're... So it started to become a bit of a grey area, and then we just kind of wanted our own brand. We wanted to have our own sort of identity, you know what I mean? It wasn't about trying to... You know, obviously we're Arsenal fans, Arsenal Fan TV, but it's not about trying to ride off the back of Arsenal, because Arsenal is its own brand. Arsenal is a great club and it's its own brand. So that's why we thought, yeah, it is right to change the name to AFTV and give it its own branding and give it its own, you know, so that there is no grey area. You know who Arsenal is, the football club, and you know who Arsenal Fan TV are, which is AFTV, and that's how it came about.
Just one final question, just on the second row there.
On the topic of social media and YouTube in general, obviously very numbers heavy, and the concentration on, you know, how many likes this video getting, are we getting more views on this video compared to the last one? That constant focus on numbers, has that sort of been a source of stress for you, or do you find it like encouraging, especially when you first started off?
Not really, you know. I mean, for me, it should always be on making good content, right? So I just feel that the two come together. If you make good content, you get good numbers. If you do things right, you'll get good numbers for it. If you make bad content, you're not going to get the numbers. You've got to be consistent as well. I say all the time to like other people who are in this space, I go, it's all right having a viral video means nothing really if you don't follow it up with other stuff. That, you know, because you're not going to get, you could get 1 million views for this video, you're not going to get 1 million views for the next one, you know what I mean? But how, you know, can you consistently get 100,000 views? Because that's kind of better than getting 1 million, and then your next, you know, 6 months worth of videos, you're getting like 2,000 free, you know what I mean? So it's about being consistent, but it's about making good content. If you make good content, people are going to enjoy it, they're going to watch it, they're going to watch you all the time, they're going to engage with it all the time. And I think that there's too many people caught up in trying to get these viral moments and these viral videos, and if it doesn't come naturally, it's not going to last. And you know, and yeah, I do feel there's a lot of people nowadays are trying to chase that, always constantly trying to chase that big. They're sitting down saying, oh, how can we create this viral video, instead of sitting down and saying, how can we create good content, good videos? And once you start doing that consistently, you start to build up a following, people start to enjoy your stuff, they start to come all the time, and then over a period of time, you start to see your numbers rise. And that's my approach to it. Because if you do try and do that other approach, you will be constantly stressed. I've seen big companies that they're always trying to create these big viral videos, and they are always stressed, and they're always getting rid of people to bring in that next person who can. It's a waste of time, you know what I mean? Just make good content, and people will watch it, and they will enjoy it. It's as simple.
On that point, just one final thing from me. Have you had fans come after a game on your channel and who've like tried to go viral in their reaction?
Yes, we've had people come, but you can see through it straight away. So I had something like that the other day where a guy came on. I could see straight from how he was talking that he's just trying to create a viral video. We didn't even put it out. We just made the decision that we're not putting that video out because that wasn't said from here. That was just said you're trying to come with a viral video because you're saying stuff just as outlandish that doesn't make sense, that doesn't correlate with what we saw in the game, and you're just trying to use our platform to get a viral moment, and that's not what we're about. We're about listen, we've had hundreds of viral videos, but it's about making good content. And if you speak to any content creator, they'll tell you the same thing. If you speak to the big boys like KSI now, I'll sit down and speak to those guys, they're like, you know, we're constantly thinking about how we can make great content, you know, and that's what it should be about, not try to be that next viral. It don't last long. Within a week, people are like, right, what's next? And if you ain't got nothing to follow it up with, so.
Well, I'd like to say a massive thank you to everyone who's come, and thank
you very much.
I'd like to say a massive thank you to Robbie. It's been an absolute honour.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much.